Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Uh, StreamYard was giving me extreme difficulty logging on today. Jeez, what is this look unfocused? Let me remove that and start it over again. That'll reset the focus. Yeah, that looks a little better. That looks a little better. I look unfocused. I look unfocused, but it's okay. I can be unfocused. I am unfocused. It's the way I live my life. So, I don't know what it is last night. I must have been nervous about the Kickstarter launch because as soon as I was done, my wife was talking to me and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, I'm sleepy. I want to take a nap." So she's like, it's Saturday night. You gonna take a nap?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I went over to my chair. I turned on Death Stalker 2, a movie that I've been trying to watch for a month. I watch about 5 minutes of it and it puts me to sleep. And I'm determined to finish it. And it's terrible. And I was out. I was out till midnight. My wife came down and woke me up. It's like this nap, and I just got up without saying anything and just went right to bed. Slept till 9, so I was out. I don't know what was wrong with me. I still feel sleepy. Chugging coffee, but anyway, let's uh let's do Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Can't do this though. Let's do our due diligence and remind everybody that Heroic Tales is live on Kickstarter. It's still available on Fund My Comic, but it's also available on Kickstarter. Kickstarter has more options as far as add-ons because that's Kickstarter is different like that. And Bill is formatting the comic as we speak. This is the absolute last chance. You can sneak in a letter to Santa Claus, to Patriarch, to King Fu if you want, or myself at heroicmails@yahoo.com or John's Longbox at yahoo.com. This I got about 3 letters. I was hoping for more, and you can still sneak in if you want. Get a letter published in a comic book. I'm trying to bring back that old Marvel field where it's like a club. But sorry, I'm just trying to wake up. I don't know what it was. I just passed out. But if you back on Fund My Comic, you're gonna get it first. If you're back on Kickstarter, you're gonna get it after the campaign. So Kickstarter is 59 days. I don't know if you just get the comic book, maybe I'll ship it. I'll ship it as soon as I can. But uh, Comics Wellspring went out of business. They've been bought by another company. Uh, I'll get a proof copy from the new copy. If it's as good as Comics Wellspring, I'm just afraid that a new company bought it. One of those big companies, that impersonal companies, and it's not going to be as good. But man, the customer service for Comics Wellspring was so good, so good. I'm a pretty loyal guy. You do right by me. I'm a ride or die kind of person. I'll be with you forever, kind of. You know, so I just heartbroken that Comics Wellspring went out. There's a couple other choices, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. This might delay, but a delay you guys won't notice. It's just a delay you guys won't notice. I'm just so far ahead on this one that you know, luck favors the prepared, right? So let's bring back this extra camera, and we'll do this, and we'll do that. There we go. There we go. So this is. We got a bunch. Oh, let's say hello to everybody in the chat first. We got Steven Silhouette, cool name, cool avatar. This is a great cover. This is a great cover. I remember seeing this. This is my actual copy that I got off the shelf. And if I remember correctly, I got this at Howie's. You can see the markings. Uh, Howie's was this stationery store. I bring it up a lot. I love that place. It's now a restaurant, but it was a stationery store. It was one of those old places that you don't see anymore. It was, I don't know if it's a Long Island, New York thing, but they sold lottery tickets, cigarettes, uh, gift cards, like holiday cards, greeting cards, comic books, magazines, uh, oak tag, notebooks, school supplies, paper, all of that stuff. You went in there, how he had it, and it was a real old-fashioned, dark-looking place. I remember at High Ceilings, but I'm probably misremembering. and it was right on Grand Avenue. Yeah, Grand Avenue. So that it was like the original street in Baldwin where I grew up. Back in the old cowboy days. This was like the western town where they would do, they would do the shootouts. But I mean, it's New York. They didn't have that. But it was just old. And what is this? Oh, screwdriver. I got distracted. What is that thing? But it was, it's one of the oldest buildings in New York. So it's just old fashioned. And there was an apartment behind it where Howie lived. And we used to say Howie's mother, but it must have been his wife. But she was just as old as him. And she had like dementia or something. I got to refocus this. And every once in a while, she would just wander out. And, she would like wander out in a nightgown and everything like that. And it was embarrassing. He would be like, oh, and walk her back. And everybody would make fun of her. Like, oh, Howie, that's your mother. And I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for old timers. I've always had a soft spot for Alzheimer's, dementia. So I never made. I was like, you need help, Howie. Time flattered myself thinking that he liked me. He probably didn't know me from a hole in the wall. But anyway, this guy had like a rounded alcove in the front, and that's where all the comic books were. And he, to the best of my knowledge, he never returned them. So it was just a pile. All the new comics and pile of comics. And it was just fun to go in there and look through the comics, and you discover stuff. Like you get Fantastic Four, 135 or something like that. And you realized you missed 134. You go to Howie's and you just look through everything until you find it. That was just so much fun. Anyway, I got this there. Look at this. Look at this great cover. This is Frank Miller, this cover. All right, so let's go down. So at Fund My Comic, you can get the Heroic Tales Christmas special. And again, that'll ship first. And then over here on Kickstarter, you get Heroic Tales Christmas special, but with extra add-ons. That intro always gets me jazzed up. Yeah, it's a cool intro, right? I like it. That was Kyle Prometheus made that for me. Just gave it to me. I love that. Morning, John and chat. How you doing, Ben? Good morning, Marcus. Good to see you. How's everything, Marcus? I am having a blessed day. Slept late, drinking some coffee. Hey, good morning from the Titans of All. Jimmy played Twilight Imperium with me yesterday. His daughter's fiance, and then our childhood friend Jen. So we played a 5-player game of Twilight Imperium. We got some pizza. We were paisanos. I got an eggplant parmesan. Jimmy got a Caesar salad. It's funny because I'm just as interested in the food as I am the game. But Twilight Imperium is the apex predator of board games. It's like legendary among board games as a super long, super complicated, super fiddly. But I don't find it complicated, but I do find it fiddly. And I'm on the quest to play the perfect game. When I play a board game, when I say a perfect game, I don't mean that I won and beat everybody. What I mean is we played perfectly by the rules. And that was the closest to by the rules. Like if you forget abilities of your cards, that's not our fault. I didn't teach that wrong when playing. That's But I want to play, but I realized we broke 2 minor rules that probably wouldn't affect the game. It was near perfect, but I think it's impossible to do in Twilight Imperium. But I want to play. I want to play again. I love that game. How are the Titans these days? Well, Jimmy Race was the Titans of All, and they're like these little beings that wear these big gigantic robot suits. So just think of like little like that villain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they look like celestials. So there's these like 20, 30 feet tall robot gods, but it's really just like a little creature inhabiting it. I can't think of the name, but they were these like dinosaur-like beings, and they manipulated gravity and then repurposed the dead. So like they filled dead bodies with cybernetics and captured your destroyed ships and broke them down and rebuilt them. It's my new favorite race. Yep, it was a stationery store. Dementia is awful. Yep, it's one of my legit fears. I'm seeing Frank Miller on tour this Wednesday. Oh, cool. Ask him if he wants to be a guest on John's Logbox. Supposedly, one of the guys I worked with is was buddies, childhood friends with one of Frank Miller's bodyguards. And he said he would talk. Yeah, but that's what you do. My grandfather's Parkinson's, and I help him out. It's tragic. Yep, yep. Yeah, I know. So I could jump on your also streaming with drawing enemies. I draw the stream. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. It was just to let people know that's okay. And I was having technical difficulties anyway. Frank Miller's promotional tool for Push the Wall: My Life, Writing, Drawing, and the Art of Storytelling. It's a self-help book that I could use all the helping. Oh, I didn't know that. I got to check that out. It's not a comic book. It's a self-help book. All right, so let's get to this wonderful, wonderful comic. So this is 1979, King Size Annual X-Men, The Awesome Attack of Arkham. In this comic book, the X-Men face persecution for being mutants. Everybody hates them, and the mutants cry all day long, saying, oh, we just want to be accepted for everybody. No, I'm kidding. This is the X-Men go to another planet and fight Conan the Barbarian. This is awesome. Just like all the best X-Men stories, they have nothing to do with persecution. Blah, 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 blah. This is freaking space. This is outer space, interdimensional, sci-fi, fantasy, Star Wars meets superheroes, laser beams, punch in the face action, like the best comic books are. No identity politics, just ass kicking. Okay, you go to church, you pray. Pray for a lot of people. A lot of people I personally know in the comic book, indie comic book, can use some prayers. I'm not gonna say their names but just pray. All right. Look at this. Wonderful. I just love this stark white background. I just realized now, after years and years and years of knowing this comic book, I mean, image of it in my head, I just noticed that there's cracks. So this is a wall behind them. There's cracks. This is like some sort of like alabaster or marble wall, which begs the question, where's this guy running from? Where's this guy running from? He's coming through the wall. But I love this storm over here. So good. So good. Let's check out the inside now. Little guns. Pumped up that gun. This is a BB gun or a pellet gun? Oh, this is a BB gun. Because pellet guns are when BB guns aren't dangerous enough. You get a little pellet that's the same caliber as a 22 and has a little concave on one side, and you pump up pressured air and you fire that. So it's like the halfway point between a BB and a 22. It's great. And we used to sell them to children. Believe me, if I had a kid, I'd be like buying them all the most dangerous toys. You get a wrist rocket, slingshot, you're going to get a bow and arrow kit, you're going to get a pellet gun. Go out there and survive, kid. The world is dangerous. That's what I'm going to start doing to all my nieces and nephews when they have more kids. I'm going to buy them dangerous toys. All right, so we got no credits yet. Oh, yes, we do. So we got the opening page and a departure from like the past six weeks. It's not a splash page at the front. I always say a splash page is usually the first page, and it's one panel, but it's not a splash page. It's a regular opening. This is a nice setting here. But we got Chris Claremont writer, George Perez and Terry Austin inks. Look at that, Terry Austin and George Perez. I can't read the rest of these credits though. Tom Cruise, letterer. Tom Orzechowski, letterer. Glynis Wynn, colorist. Roger Stern, editor. And Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Geez, that was difficult to read. I won't be reading much. I don't know. My eyes are just wonky today. But we got, it's New York City. We got comic books being delivered. We got this wonderful George Perez background. He really likes to draw his buildings. Kind of look old-fashioned. We got, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. Never thought I could feel so free. But we used to get comic books in this newsstands in the city. So just, they had these like shacks permanently installed on the sidewalk with a little awning to protect stuff from the weather, and you buy comic books. And then, comic books kind of went away, and it was all newspapers. Now newspapers went away. Now, believe it or not, it's all like iPhone accessories. if you still see them. I'm sure most of them got torn down. But if you do see them, I know I saw a few when I was working in Manhattan, and it's just iPhone and iPhone accessories. Well, you can't buy the iPhone, but you can buy like iPods and whatever, screen repair kits and everything like that. So these two guys are just talking. This woman, Isidore, and whatever his name is, Izzy, and I don't know. And then boom, lightning just strikes the ground. Overly rendered, overly drawn. It's awesome. It is just awesome. So from this point forward, chat, comic. Where's Brittany today? No Fox. I thought she was here yesterday. She doesn't work on Sundays. And boom, now we got this splash page. Look at that splash page. That is just awesome. That is just awesome. And when the smoke clears, Archon the Magnificent walks the streets of New York once more. So yet again, the fates have brought me to this world that I hate. And in these accursed hands lies the survival of my own world and of its people. And the couple, what is that? I don't know. He goes, shut up, Ima. We don't want to bother the nice man. Hey, Misty, you one of the Fantastical Four or something? Boom. Just look at that. Freaking lightning from the sky, and it just shows up. Way too much smoke. The next panel, it's still smoking on the ground. Energy, coruscating. It's just freaking comic books, man. This is freaking comic books. What do you want me to say? He's walking away. Leave him alone. And he goes, I've come. He goes, twice I've journeyed to this earth. Once to destroy, once to conquer. Now the thought shivers my soul to the bone. I've come to beg. What is going on? So he's walking down to the Avengers Mansion. And here comes Jarvis. So it's early in the morning. I mean, if you're a New Yorker, if this guy dropping off the newspapers, this is like 5 o'clock in the morning. The newspapers got to get there before the morning commute. So these newspaper vendors are dropping off stuff at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. So Jarvis is waking up. He walks, opens the door, and there's Archon. And I love this. You can see his quiver with 3 different color arrows. You got the red, you got the black, you got the yellow. I would speak with your masters, the Avengers known as Thor, God of Thunder, if you value your mangy life. He's come to beg, but he's just letting them know that he ain't begging. He's still gonna beg with a hint of threat, because this is Archon the Magnificent. You don't just ask for help; he demands help. Look at Jarvis. Let's check out the comments over here. Yeah, what a magnificent entrance. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Isn't that great? That is just a great entrance. So good. I got a smile on my face. This never fails to make the listener smile. Hey, KO Joe. Greetings from North Carolina. Happy Sunday, John Longbox. There you go. Thank you. Let me know in the comments if you read this comic. Let me know if you have this comic. Let me know if you've never seen this comic before. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. So now we got this ad that, oh my God, I don't know why. It aggravates me. It perturbs me. It tasks me. I've always hated this. I've always hated this ad. I don't know why. And now the memory of my hatred shivers through my body. I don't hate it anymore, but I remember hating it as a kid. So I'm reliving the echo of an emotion. So look at this close up of the face. I've come a long way, little man, and I'm in no mood. So he says, I need Thor's help. And Jarvis says, they're not here. He goes, please believe me, Mr. Archon. I'm telling the truth. None of the Avengers are here. I've become solely endured so much only to fail. No, you must summon the God of Thunder at once, or I will snap your neck as I would a rotted twig. But I can't, Master. Thor is no longer a regular full-time Avenger. He's off on a personal private mission. We have no way of contacting him. So I'm gonna beg for help, and if you don't give me the help, I'm gonna break your neck. Because he's Archon the Magnificent. It's Archon. How fares your quest? Thor is our only hope, Grand Vizier. There's always a Grand Vizier. All of these tyrant kings in Marvel comics and DC comics, they always have a Grand Vizier, an old bearded Gandalf-looking guy who whispers in the ear of the ruler, you know, giving him, in this particular case, good advice. A lot of times, just like it's usually that like Namor has Vizier, and it's usually the voice of reason as the hothead ruler. It's such a Marvel trope. Like, you don't realize this as a kid because it's just so freaking cool, but as an adult, you realize it's stealing from itself over and over and over again. Why? Because it works. So this allows the king to be the cool, hothead, emotional ruler, and then you have another guy whispering, you know, sage advice into his ear. He goes, "Oh no, open up your mind. I'll tell you. There's somebody else." And he goes, "So we need Thor, but Thor's unavailable. There's someone else who can help." Who? I hear, Greybeard, and I obey. So why is Archon obey? Because he knows he's a hothead. He's the ruler, but he also knows, you know, well, we don't know. It's been implied that the stakes are really high, and then we get this picture of Storm. And although this comic, you know, it probably came out, I don't know, a year or two, 12 issues or so before 144, the last X-Men comics. You know, Wolverine's still in his yellow costume, and I've been saying up until during the whole John Byrne time, Storm hasn't been a major player. She's been a background character at best. Even in the X-Men, the X-Men are a background comic book at this time. It's not until you know, another month or two, another year or two before they become a major seller. But they're like a cult classic at this point. They didn't break through to the mainstream for quite a bit yet. So in a B tier comic book, Storm is a B tier character. She's cheesecake background, and once in a while does something cool. This is the first time she becomes a main character in the comics. So let's turn comments and then turn the page. Oh, a lot of comments. Thank you. So the Jerk Classic says, "Good morning. Glad to have not missed much." Yeah, we're on page 5. You just missed me talking. You've never seen this? You're in for a treat. Never heard or seen this before? Yeah. The kid with the pellet gun ought to take out that bubble. That's some meta stuff. That's a kind of funny idea. All the ads exist in the same universe. Yeah, all the ads, Charles Atlas and everybody's all hanging out, and they're all running from Bill Cosby and O.J. Simpson. That's funny. I was just finishing watching an old George Perez interview. What a career! I know. What a talent. What a talent. What a great guy. I met him once at a Comic-Con. He signed a copy of Wonder Woman #1 for me. I just remember being a little too starstruck to talk to him. Just a all-around nice guy from what I heard. I've had this annual. My Wonder Man story had Simon filming an Archon movie. That is a perfect story for Wonder Man. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. That's a really good idea. That is like a deep comic book lore. Just got out of church. You putting lasagna in the oven. That sounds awesome. Sorry, I had to boot you last night with the technical difficulty, and I'm not sure if it's on your end or my end, because my internet is going really, really slow today. So I don't know. I think I have to reboot my whatever it's called, not modem, router. I noticed that whenever we reboot it, things get set. So maybe after the stream, I'll reboot it. So let's continue. Look at that. And I'll tell you what a dumb kid I am. When I got this, I didn't notice that it wasn't John Byrne. Like back then, 1979, geez, I was 11 years old. I didn't pay attention to artists' names, writers' names. Right? I just paid attention to characters in comic books. It's funny because it wasn't until the artist, like it wasn't until John Byrne left, so I must have been like 12, 13 years old, that I was like, what is this? What's going on? And then I started looking at the names and then going back. So so when the art was good, I just bought the comics and absorbed the comics because the X-Men was pretty stable, for a couple of years. Geez, what, 6 years? It was the same team. It had the same look and everything like that. Whereas comics like the Avengers and Fantastic Four didn't have. Well, the Avengers also had either John Byrne or George Perez at this point. But Fantastic Four, now that I think about it, it was just like yeah. I'm realizing now, it was just like rare point where all the comics were pretty stable with long teams, long creative teams. It wasn't until like the creative team started to change every couple of months that I started paying attention to the names, you know, and it was like really a golden age. And that brings me to a point like Marvel, DC, you got to have long runs again. You got to have the same artist, writer, inker on a comic for a long time to give the room time to breathe. You saw how long Chris Claremont took building up that Phoenix story. It's amazing that Days of Future Past just happened in 2 issues, no build up or anything, and it became such a mainstay. But like, gotta let comics build up and breathe. Now look at this great shot of the Danger Room. George Perez, Terry Austin drawn. Colossus fighting this cool looking robot. Nightcrawler unfortunately suffering on the crease of the comic. It looks like he has no head. Wolverine, what a great shot of Wolverine. Just so cool. It's funny because I love that yellow costume, and when he changed to the brown costume, I hated it, but I've grown to like that brown costume better. Look at this great, majestic Storm in her best costume, and then Cyclops in this bland, dull, awesome costume. It fits his personality. This particular day falls between 124 and 125. Okay, so that tells us exactly when this falls. 124. So it happens right after Proteus, and right before the main stuff of Jean Grey and Dark Phoenix. Got this little panel over here, Colossus fighting this fire robot, getting thrown. Ooh. Looks like we're back to Nightcrawler, not really doing much. Banshee's in the control room. You can see he's up here, over here. Scott's in this awkward pose, yelling at Colossus for not really. You can see a little bit of the limitations of George Perez's artwork over here. This head's a little wonky, but I didn't notice it until just now. But man, this is just an awesome comic. Let's see. Thanks. The villain was Mysterio. Oh, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. Yeah, Mysterio is a special effects based hero. That's a cool idea. I wonder do you still have that script? How do you compare this X-Men annual to King Size FF Annual 14, also draws by Perez? Which one was that? Is that the one? Just I know I have it. Just I'm gonna get them mixed up, the numbers. What happened is that one? Is that the Inhumans one? Thing is, even creators, writers still get burned out if they're on. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Like 2 things. The writer needs to be inspired and want to do it, and nobody, if Chris Claremont is like, I don't want to do this anymore, it does nobody good to keep him on, So yeah, but as long as the sales are up and the artist is gung ho about doing it, keep him on. When Elon Musk buys Marvel Comics and puts me in charge, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to just fire everybody, but first thing I'm going to do is, all right, guys, you got 6 months to get your sales to this. Every comic's got to sell 100,000 copies. Go. If you don't do it, the editor's fired. Editor, do what you got to do. No reboots. We're not going to do any crossovers. Just make good comics. You got 6 months. And then one by one, get rid of these editors. Because you can't just clean house and start. It's funny that I think of it too realistically, even though I know it's a fantasy. But that's always been my problem. Marvel and DC will never have artists on for long runs. They don't want the artists to get bigger than the comics, and that's their problem. Launch the career of the next Todd McFarlane. What do you got to lose? So he gets too big and people like him and buy your comic books and then he leaves. And then, you know what I mean? It's just so stupid. It's better to have loved than lost than to have never loved at all. It's better to have Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man and lose Todd McFarlane and then never to have Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man in the first place. Long runs with stable teams is how we win with comics. I'm glad that everybody agrees. FF Annual had Franklin and the Witches with Agatha Harkness. Why am I drawing a blank on that one? Is that the Return to Salem? Yeah, is that the Return? Yeah, because George Perez did the original 184, 185 with Agatha Harkness and the Salem 7. A lot of series at Marvel don't last 12 issues on. Yeah. You hold off on the events. It seems like we all speak in the same language. An event should only happen when it needs it. Every couple of years, like come up with an idea, put them in a hat and say, do we really want to interrupt everything? Absolute shit makes sense now. Yeah, I'm not a fan of reimagining the same characters. With so many people in the mainstream, there's a bunch of egos running around. Yep. Cool. We're all on the same page. All right, let's turn the page. We got this shot from Banshee's point of view. So he goes, interesting. Sykes not giving orders. Only advice. He's let the others operate on their own. I hope he knows what he's doing. So Cyclops is standing back, only giving information when they ask for information. So Storm gets caught between two fans. She's caught between two fans, feeling like a fool. So one fan's rotating one way, one fan's rotating the other way, and it's just throwing off her ability. Now, Storm this is like a thing that bothers me, and I got to be the only person that this bothers me. How does Storm fly? I think about nonsense like this. Does she just have the power to fly like Superman? Superman could just fly. Captain Marvel could just fly. Could Storm just fly? Well, they say that she generates winds, and she uses her cape to capture those winds, and it propels her through the air, which doesn't work because her cape should be in front of her. You know what I mean? So the way they draw it doesn't work on the fly. So it's not wet. So she should be able to fly in the danger room. And if she could fly in the danger room, everybody should be getting scattered because they've got to be like a hurricane. So does she fly? Does she just have the power to fly? Or does she use the wind? It's like a quantum state. She has the best of both and the worst of both. So these winds are generating the fans messing up her wind, and now she can't fly. She's getting caught. And Wolverine's going to grab her out of this weird suction thing, and tentacles pull him down. So she's starting to get claustrophobic, even though she's not physically, well, she is physically trapped, but it's not like, opaquely trapped in a box or anything. It's just the wind. And Cyclops said, there's no need to panic. Relax. You can get out of the trap, blah, blah, blah. Then we got Reed Richards over here. Reed Richards is the smartest man in the universe and confirms it by having Twinkies, not disgusting fruit pies. Brian Bow, Wolf and Batsy, wonderful comic, great talent, bad taste in snacks. What do you want me to say, Brian? Do better. Please check out Wolf and Batsy. Brian Bow's wonderful, wonderful comic. Every time I read the stuff, I appreciate it more and more. Let me get to the next page. Comment. Yeah, that George creation of Salem 7, a bunch of mythic-looking creatures like a lion man and a snake lady. The Salem 7, I just remember that one of the things in Salem 7 always bothered me was Reed Richards had robotic arms in issue 186 because he lost his powers, and he just had these extendos on his arm. And they're fighting the Salem 7, and it's the cheesiest, worst defeat ever. Bruticus smashes those arms. You'll see real soon when I do the Fantastic Four one. And then he's like, your arms are mechanical. And they all lost their powers because they had powers based on the fact that the Fantastic Four had powers. So if the Fantastic Four didn't have powers, they had mechanical assisted stretching, then their powers, it was just so stupid. Just the logic was stupid. Reed's reaching for fruit pies is a stretch. Da, 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 da. So Storm freaks out and does something reckless, dangerous, and super cool. She just overextends her storm abilities, lightning, and just shatters the two fans. And of course, because it's comic books and everything's awesome, this fan blade smashes through the control room and almost beheads Banshee. The danger room is just recklessly stupid. Apparently, the X-Men just want to be like everybody else, except when it comes to OSHA compliant rules. You can't have OSHA compliant rules when you're the X-Men because that would be discriminatory, because that would be treating you the same as everybody else. And we all know being treated the same as everybody else is not the case when you're a mutant, because mutants want to be treated better than everybody else, except they're just the same, but they don't want persecution. Kind of like feminism. So, oh no, it hit the main computer. 1 in a million. What are the odds? What are the odds? So the whole danger room just goes berserkerweights. Flying maces, rockets, laser beams, fire, everything's just going nuts. So Banshee's like, I can't do crap up here. The computer's destroyed. We don't have multiple redundancies or anything like that. We're not OSHA compliant. Cyclops, Banshee's up here yelling, you see, Cyclops, if we were OSHA compliant, we wouldn't have all these dangerous things, but you don't let the inspectors in because you just want to be treated like everybody else who has to listen to the inspectors. No, you want to be treated better than everybody else while whining that you're not being treated the same as everybody. You want preferential treatment while crying that you're being discriminated against and being treated differently. I know I'm being redundant, but right now the X-Men is awesome. Post-Burn, that's what the X-Men become. I couldn't take it anymore. So they got the internal override device. They got to hit that button to turn off everything. So Cyclops like, I can't make it. There's just too much craziness going on. So he's telling Colossus, go over there and hit that button. Colossus is like, I got this flying robot. He's Wolverine, go over there and hit that button because I got hentai tentacles over here. You wouldn't believe where they're trying to penetrate. It's okay, warps. So I love this. He throws the robot at Wolverine, and Wolverine just slashes it. Just unnecessary, but unnecessarily cool. Unnecessarily cool. It's a comic book after all. Rex Blazer says, one trope that had been applied to Reed that annoys me is the trope where the character is a steadfast atheist despite living in a world where gods and supernatural elements are confirmed real. I don't know if Reed has been a confirmed atheist. I don't think they ever because I do know that he was Protestant and he celebrated Christmas and everything like that. I don't know if he ever stated his religious beliefs. If you have an exact issue, let me know. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that from my belief. What I do like about Batman is Batman still has, he said it a few times. I don't know about today, but he said it a few times during my Batman collecting years that he believed in God, and people were shocked. And Batman said, how can you not? Look at all of these gods and aliens. He goes, they're in ghosts. There is a supernatural world. I don't understand it. I don't pretend to understand it. I just deal with it as it affects reality. So, Batman's a realist. Now, again, I know Ben Grimm is Jewish. I know Kitty Pryde is Jewish, but I don't recall them ever stating. I know Reed, Stan and Jack gave a lot of characters like cultural religions, like and DC did, like Superman was raised in a Protestant world. Colossus is the only explicitly atheist character that I know. That's because he was part of like the Soviet Union and everything like that. But I think Stan and Jack did it brilliantly. They never really expressed their personal religious views, but it just made sense given, where these characters grew up or to flesh out. They gave him, raised culturally Catholic. Who knows what he actually believes, but But again, I don't know in if they ever said that Reed was expressly atheist. And again, if you have an issue, I'm not arguing. I just know that he celebrated Christmas and everything. If this helps any, the Salem Seven performed the ritual on the FF atop the Baxter Building. Yeah, I got all these annuals mixed up. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on that one. Oh yeah, okay. Now I'm picturing the cover. It just came to me. They had Batman as an admitted non-believer in the Rebirth era during a Wonder Woman crossover. Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they changed it. Reed is smart enough to believe in the writer. Yeah. Then there was that whole weird, but I liked it, where Ben Grimm died and met Jack Kirby. Look at this. This is, out of shape. No, this is curvy back then. Are you too skinny? Is this the body you want? This is curvy back in 1979. Is that too skinny now? To me, that's still perfect, but that's the age I grew up in. Superhero dolls. You don't say dolls. You say superhero action figures. Boys don't want dolls. Superhero action figures. Okay? Get it right. Get it right. I'm enforcing gender stereotype rules. That's what I do here. Over at John's Long Box, we enforce gender stereotype rules. They work for 10,000 years. They work for 10,000 years, guys. What do you want me to do? Men are men, girls are girls. And sheep are scared. All right, let's continue. So Storm is feeling like a fool. I told you she was caught between two fans and feeling like a fool. I told you. Cyclops like, later. We'll deal with this now. Cyclops is a realist. He's a good leader. He's not going to sign blame and make her feel stupid. We got to get out of this scrape. And then Nightcrawler is just pouncing around like a cat. Again, doing nothing. Poor Nightcrawler. He's the lesser member of the X-Men for a long time, literally doing nothing. Just a few times. I'm going to go hide, guys. Okay. So he's hopping around, and all of a sudden an oil slick, and then the wind blows him into the ceiling. So Colossus is like, all right, I got that robot out of the way. I'm just going to walk over and hit the button. So he's just walking over, and boing, he pinballs, and he hits another one. Boom. So it's just increasing his momentum so that he nearly hits Cyclops like a meteor. Boom! And Wolverine's like, hey, this is my kind of roughhouse. We should do this more often. So, this is crazy madman. Animalistic Wolverine, my favorite Wolverine. He's just let loose and having fun. He doesn't care. But note, I've been noticing the progress. I've been noting the progress of Wolverine. He still hasn't mentioned his healing factor. His adamantium skeleton has been confirmed because we saw it in Days of Future Past. His heightened senses, and with the adamantium skeleton, you could, guess that he has increased strength and anything like that. But still hasn't mentioned the healing factor. So here he is, just Cyclops like, there it is. Where can I get this? So he's like trapped underneath some debris. He's looking at the control room. So what does he do? He physically dials his helmet down to concentrate a beam. Pinpoint. He's like, Storm, get out of the way now. What? Oh, and I love this tech. He's like, I got to hit the beam with the precise amount of energy so that the button gets depressed without smashing the controller. So tech turns off the room. Oh, my aching head. Am I dead? Is this purgatory? That's right. Nightcrawler is expressly Catholic. Roman Catholic and believes, talking to the atheist over here, but yet they're friends. Storm, they never really said what she believed, right? I mean, she was considered a goddess, but she knows she's not a goddess. What all Wolverine said is he believes in something at this point. Cyclops doesn't matter. It's perfectly within his character to not tell anybody what he purposely believes. Perfect. I'm unhurt. He's Cyclops. He's laying on pinned And he's asking, how's everybody doing? Why? Because he's the leader. It's just a great sequence. We're on page 15. Just a great sequence. Where are we? If you count the Danger Room, then not long after the X-Men fight Akra, that's a lot of action. Yeah, I count the Danger Room. This was awesome. Right? You got to see cool powers. You got to see everything. It was awesome. In Infinity Crusade by Jim Starlin, Sue was outed as a Christian who felt that she had to hide her faith from a super science family. And then in 1602, F.F. Reed was a non-believer until the end. Yeah, well, 1602 is Elseworld. That doesn't count. And it's written by Neil Gaiman, who retroactively nothing counts by him. Scientologist. I mean, Scientologist symbol is a cross with an X through it. Because L. Ron Hubbard didn't like Christianity. The Heroic Tales Christmas Special. Get it now. Get it now. Get it now while it's hot. So hot it set your house on fire. Well, it's so hot that when it's nice and cold at your house at Christmas time, the comic book will warm your cockles. And you want warm cockles, right? Who doesn't want warm cockles? Let's go. So now Banshee shows up bleeding. I'm hurt. Just listen, what's this mess? Now what, Scott? We make sure all the fires out. Shut that. We shut down everything. We clean up tomorrow. So first things first, make sure that there's no lasting damages. Make sure the house is in danger. Make sure we still have our alarm systems and all that stuff. And then tomorrow we'll clean up. He goes, Cyclops, if you have no objections, I'll join you later. Right now, I prefer to be alone. Aurora, Peter, help Banshee, okay? I'll handle this. So she's embarrassed. She's ashamed. But you caused this. You can't just walk away. To me, this is uncharacteristically immature of Storm. But Storm didn't really have a personality yet. I caused all this. I freaked out. I panicked. And I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave the responsibilities. I'm going to leave the responsibilities to the men. That's what she's basically saying right now. I freaked out. I destroyed the mansion. I caused millions of dollars in damages. I almost killed everybody. But I'm going to walk away from the consequences of my actions. Makes me not like Storm. And Cyclops, instead of saying, hey, listen, you need to get back in there. This is all your fault. You freaked out. Okay, nobody's hurt. That's great. But, actions have consequences. Instead, he says, if you wish to yell at me for what happened, Scott, please don't. I know what I did wrong. I know my action almost destroyed us all. So don't give me any rough. I messed up. Let me walk away. Let me go hang out. Let me deal with my emotions. I don't want any consequences, Scott. Please don't give me any consequences. And I love this room. We've seen this room many times in the X-Men, and it makes me happy, and it makes it real that there's a real, this is different artists now. John Byrne drew this room. Now George Perez is drawing this room. And it makes me wonder if there was some sort of schematic for the X-Men, or is this just John Byrne read them all? I mean, George Perez read them all, and he's copying the basic decor. So now they're talking. Scott's putting on his human face as best as he can with his powers, takes off this intimidating, hide your face, conceal your emotions mask, and puts on his regular glasses. And what's she saying? She's saying, this life, it's getting to me, constantly fighting villains. She goes, I had my powers and I was helping people and I was healing people and I was causing crops to grow and everybody was happy. And now I'm just fighting monster of the week kind of thing. She's doubting. She's having a moment of doubt. She freaked out. She almost killed the X-Men. She wants to use her powers to help people instead of fight. All I do is fight. All I do is fight. And then Scott should have said, yeah, go help clean up. Wolverine and Colossus and Nightcrawler. All the men are taking care of the consequences of your actions. And Cyclops doesn't say that. And she goes up to her attic, which is another place in the comics that, it just makes the X-Men mansion look real. And she's taking care of her plants. And here comes Archon. Now, Archon's able to come in because the security devices are down. Again, Storm's action. So she's, what's going on? Who are you? And just grabs her. Be silent, Earther, and you will not be hurt. I am Archon, and you are coming with me. And she's, no! What's going on? Rex Blazer says, out of curiosity, how about you justify Storm wearing a bikini outfit in the out? It's awesome. She's a woman, and she's beautiful. What other justification do you need? I mean, Eye Candy sells comic books. She's a superhero. Look at Colossus. He basically has this, But she also doesn't feel the weather. She can walk around naked. Remember, in Africa, she walked around that grass. Granted, it was hot all the time, but the cold doesn't affect her. The heat doesn't affect her. So she's wearing what feels comfortable to her. She doesn't need to wear clothes. She's wearing that bikini as a concession to the prudish ways of New York City. I know they don't talk about that later on, but that's kind of where she is right now. She's supposed to be a wild person from Africa, and then somewhere along the way she became this regal goddess. She was always this regal goddess, but she became this like streetwise Earth Mother kind of thing. But she was just like a wild kid. She's only like 19 years old and running around naked in Africa summoning storms for people. And when she was younger than that, she was a thief. Which really, it's funny that she's a goddess in Kenya, but she also grew up in Cairo, which is like as far away as London is from, from Warsaw, but whatever. Storm is a real leader, not assuming any responsibility for actions. Go tend to her plans and give the audience what they deserve. Yeah. She's having an emotional storm. Yeah, she's embarrassed. She's embarrassed at all of a sudden all the negative emotions. She's embarrassed. She's questioning, why am I even here? I was happy making rain for the local farmers. Just running around naked in Africa with no consequences, right? No consequences, carefree. She's acting like a child. This regal, wise Earth Mother goddess just is not characteristics with Storm until this point. This is why I objected to her becoming the leader. This came out right before they made her the leader. She freaked out, almost killed everybody, and then walks away from the consequences. And Cyclops babies her right over here. This is the real world, Storm. You almost got everybody killed, and now everybody's cleaning up. Get in there. Get in. You want everybody to respect you as a teammate? You got two choices right now. Leave, and nobody respects you, or get in there and start, take the digs. Take the digs. You cut that wire that blows up the electrical panel. Nobody gets hurt, and then I'm like, I can't, Foreman. I'm gonna go take a break. Foreman's like, you blew up that electrical panel. Get in there and help everybody fix it. And then as you're fixing it, people are like, you idiot, look at this. They're showing you burnt wires. They're showing you scarred metal. Look at this, you jerk. That's what you do. And then next time you're working in that, you're a little bit smarter. You know the consequences of a mess up, and you work smarter. This is just Chris Claremont, perfect feminist. Women are best. Women are equal to that, but let's also baby them and make them exempt from consequences. Am I being harsh? I don't think so. When did Storm become a good leader? Good point. Because I'm not going to continue the X-Men. I got next week is the last X-Men week. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's continue. So now Cyclops. While downstairs, so he's just sitting in the chair while Banshee, Banshee and Cyclops get in there. Well, Professor was here, or Jean was still alive. They'd been able to handle Storm and me, but I've got so at least Cyclops has realized, and maybe I didn't handle that too well. Listen to that thunder. Thorn must be one of the planets. I've never heard it get this loud. I better get up there and have her scale things down before this damages the house. I'll go have a cup of tea then. but also Archon smashes through. I'll warn you once, stripling. Our mission is urgent. My need desperate. Get in my way. There will be blood. You're Archon. I saw him on TV once. He came to destroy the Earth, but the Avengers stopped him. Avengers 75, 76. I don't know why you've come back, monster, or what you want with the X-Men, but I'll be more than happy to give you what you deserve. So he just blasts him, right? He has this cool shield, smashes him through the window. So this must be some time has passed because Colossus is in the pool swimming. He's like, I don't know who you are. Give me a hand. I'll pull you out of the water. Colossus, good guy, instantly goes to help. To his credit, he's eternally good. He's like, Colossus, armor up. That clown's an intruder. I think he may have attacked Storm. Transforms into Colossus. He's like, another superpowered youth? By the gods, I've simply stumbled into a nest of them. But though I faced one foe, faced 100 makes no difference. Archon will vanish you all. And he just hits Colossus. And then Colossus just blasts him. Boom. Boom. I love that. Rex says, in my universe, the ones who try to escape consequences tend to be villains or selfish idiots. Yeah. And I bet you Chris Claremont thought this was good. You know what I mean? These cool Star Wars toys. It's a shame what became of Star Wars. It really is. It makes me sad. I mean, it's a limited. Star Wars is a World War II movie in space, and you can't make World War II movies after World War II. The premise is over. The Empire is defeated. Move on. And now they're just making all these movies. And it would be one thing if they were, they had a team that understood what made Star Wars great, the mystery and the majesty and everything. But the more I step back and look at Star Wars, it was fatally flawed from day one. And that flaw, paradoxically, was George Lucas. Star Wars was amazing, despite how bad it was. The special effects, the story was no great shakes. It was great editing, great special effects, great costumes, great actors. Everything about Star Wars, it succeeded, and then it just repeated itself. It got too far up its own butt. I don't know. Just let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. It's all this new Star Wars stuff is just making me resent the original 2.5 movies that were good. It's a shame because these ship designs are so cool. That TIE fighter, whatever. Oh, Dave Brink is here. Hey, Dave, how you doing? I salute you with a sip of coffee. Coffee's so good. Go check out Safeguard. It's on Kickstarter. And after you back Safeguard, go back Heroic Tales Christmas Special. You can put your link in there, Dave. I forgot you were moderator. Of course, from the perspective of the feminists and whatnot, their oppositions are the ones escaping consequences. Yeah. People, what is it, Thomas Sowell said, when you're used to preferential treatment, equality seems like oppression. Here's a thought. Monica Rambeau is a better leader than Storm. Monica Rambeau, it's funny because when she debuted, the old guy in me hated her. I hated her. But then something happened. I loved the character. I grew to love the character. Those big, stupid, floppy wing flaps. I freaking loved the character. Cool power set. I still say that her name should be Spectrum. I don't know what they call her now, but they called her Photon, which was stupid because she does more than just light. Spectrum should be her name. But I love the actress who plays her. She's beautiful. She fits the character. Too bad the writing is not up to par. I grew to love the character. Why? They made her interesting. She wasn't a girl boss. That Spider-Man annual, she was sexy. She was flirty. She was cool. She had a cool story. She had an interesting job. She was working on that boat, salvage missions, and just cool. Lupita Nyong'o could play Storm. being Kenyan and Mexican. She's Mexican too. I didn't know that. I think she's beautiful. Anybody saying she's an ugly woman, and then they take the worst shots of her. She's beautiful. She was striking in Black Panther movie. She's beautiful, but she's not Helen of Troy. She's not Helen of Troy. And then people bring up John Wayne as Genghis Khan. People hated that too. It's one of the reasons why his movie flopped and gave everybody cancer because they filmed it in a nuclear testing ground. Might be the best take of what worked about Star Wars and other being put them together for something. Yeah. Congratulations on my launch. Thank you. Thank you. I could use all the support. Please, guys, check it out. Here we go. Safeguard Pandemonium. What about Captain Spectrum? That's a kind of interesting name. Captain implies some sort of military. You know what I mean? Like if you call yourself Captain, like I have a Captain character coming. Well, I have Captain Atlas, and he was an Air Force captain. But like there's two things for Captain. Like either you have some military service or it's like delusions of grandeur. So, you know what I mean? So she can't, to my mind, you can't be Captain Marvel, you know, unless you had some sort of military service, you know. And he was Captain Marvel, although Billy Batson was a little kid and just called himself Captain Marvel because he was a little kid, and that's what a superhero should sound like. I'm curious, Marcus, was Captain Marvel before Captain America? Was Captain Marvel the first Captain superhero? There you go. Jason Whitcomb, I just signed in. Good to see you. I love this X-Men special. I asked Terry Austin at a convention if he inked everything on his page, no assistance, and he said yes. He inked every leaf. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Lupita Umbongo is canceled. She's disrespecting home. Yeah. You know, it's bad. You know, when Idris Elba was cast as Heimdall, he had the grace and wisdom to say, I can see why some people are upset with my casting. He goes, but I didn't want to turn it down. You know, as an actor, we're only as good as our last job, you know, or something like that. He was very, Idris Elba's got class. He knows he was miscast as Heimdall, the whitest and shiningest of all gods, because he's supposed to be the morning star. You know, his name basically means bright one. You know what I mean? And he knows. He was cool about it. You know. I would have been pissed if, you know, you cast as Heimdall. You're just like, oh, so I'm going to have like 5 minutes in the movie and I'm never going to be used again. Like, don't take the role of Heimdall. You know, you're an actor and you're like, what do you got? You're an actor on the level of Idris Elba. You're like, you're going to give me like a fourth tier supporting character who may or may not appear in another movie? You know, I'm wasted. I'm holding out for a better role. That's what he should have said. Oh, wow. A lot of comments. Keep trying to turn the page, but the comments keep coming. And the Greeks took uproar with the casting of Nolan's Odyssey since none of the people involved were Greek. Now, I'm not that strict. I don't care if you're Greek in a home. What you got to do is, do you look appropriate for the part? You're an actor. You can pretend to be Greek. If you're black, you can't pretend to be white. And if you're white, you can't pretend to be black. You know, this is going to sound racist, but like Hispanics, there's a lot of variation in that. You know, you can, you know, depending upon how you look. Salma Hayek, you know, not Salma Hayek, Zoe Saldana, she gets a lot of leeway. I don't know exactly what she is, you know, whatever. You know, some actors can get away with other things. Pedro Pascal played a white guy. He played like a Hispanic guy. I don't know what the hell that guy is. You know what I mean? But the point is, do you look the part and do you have the chops to pull it off? Idris Elba can act as anything. He can act as the guy's. He's a handsome guy. He's a charismatic guy. He's got that cool voice. He's talented. He's got a presence. But he's not a white Norseman. You know, just like, you know, you can't have a white guy playing Martin Luther King. You know, there are limitations. You know, so not having Greeks, that doesn't bother me. But you know, with a little bit of makeup, and I got no problem putting makeup, make your skin look darker. You're an actor. But like, if you cast a black guy as Heimdall, paint them white. Yeah, I got no problem. It's not blackface, whiteface. That's a stupid, stupid thing. Blackface was a specific thing in the minstrel shows in the 30s and 40s, maybe the 20s, where they put the jet black shoe polish with the white lips and acted like a goofball, shucking and jiving. That's blackface. There is no blackface anymore. Nobody does blackface anymore. Except the last case of blackface was Ted Danson. And he had just played the same character in the latest He-Man movie. Oh, he did? I didn't see He-Man. I know I kept crap for this, but I was too old for He-Man. I never had any. I never had any. I never got the appeal for He-Man. The toys were crap. They were, I just I hated the name He-Man. It's just so stupid. Stinkor, Fistor. I hated all that stuff. Exactly. Thank you. Wow, a lot of comments, guys. Monica Rambeau characters created. Yes, kept the Marvel trademark. Yes, Marvel, justifiably so. For those of you who don't understand what Marcus is talking about, I don't know why my voice is. My coffee mug is empty. Sorry. My wife hates when I make that noise. She's upstairs cringing right now. She's watching. Marvel Comics saw that the trademark for Captain Marvel, Shazam, Billy Batson, had lapsed, and they jumped on it. Now, Stan Lee gives the song and dance that he felt bad about doing it. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. There's a lot of like stories that you hear in entertainment. Like one of the notable ones is like, why did you do that nude scene, actor or actress? Oh, I love the script, and I was reading the script, and for whatever reason, my page was stuck together, so I skipped over that page. When I took the role, I didn't know that there was that like explicit, gratuitous nude scene. And then when I'm working, they're like, "Okay, tomorrow we're going to do this." What are you talking about? And I see their script. Then I saw my script. I heard that same story from about 6 different actors and actresses. Henry Rollins being one of them. So I was like, knock it off. Nobody buys that. That's a repeated story. I feel the same way with Stan Lee. I don't buy it. Stan Lee, you took Daredevil, you took Vision, you took all of these other names, but you're going to feel bad about Captain Marvel. So I think Stan is just covering his ass by saying that, or maybe he generally believes it after the fact. But according to him, he was ordered by Martin Goodwin to jump on the lapsed copyright. But it makes sense. Marvel Comics needed the name Captain Marvel. They had their chance. They rushed out Captain Marvel, and the comic wasn't that good. The comic wasn't that good. It was just squatting on a name. It only got good later on when Jim Starlin took over. Then it became one of my favorite comics of all time. And Jim Starlin really, really made the cosmic Marvel stuff so good. But then that comic got canceled, and they created Captain Marvel one shot just to jump on the name. And then if you noticed, she had every couple of years she just had a one shot. That was just them keeping the trademark active. I love Idris. He's a fine actor. He should have been Black Panther. I feel bad, but I kind of agree with you. But I love Bowen, right? Chad. How do you say his name? Chadwick. I loved him. If I had a time machine, I would have put Idris as Black Panther because he lived, right? I feel bad, man. I'm like whispering, like I'm going to hurt the spirit of Chadwick Boseman. But you know what I mean? He was perfect. He was perfect Black Panther. Unfortunately, he was ill. Now, did he know he was ill? Did he keep it a secret? Did it surprise him? Did he think it was going to be? I don't know. I'm not there, but he was perfect as Black Panther. In retrospect, I got to agree with you. Idris would have been a good, if Idris was Black Panther, he would have nailed the role. He would have nailed it. He would have made it his own. You're right. Gender swap. Have Jason Momoa play Storm. There you go. Jason Momoa as Storm. Unless they draw the character black like Marvel did with Nick Fury. That bothers me. Now, the Ultimates, Mark Miller, as Cooper, Telepathic Bunny always says, my buddy. I like Mark Miller, I like about 60% of his stories a lot, actually. Some of his stories just go too far for me. But I never got the Ultimates. I don't like other versions of the characters. I want one streamlined, good version of the characters in the main universe. So I never got the Ultimates. And then he just had Nick Fury as Samuel L. Jackson. Now I don't know if it was the cart before the horse or whatever, or if Samuel L. Jackson asked him to, or if they planned out. I don't know the whole story, but now Samuel L. Jackson became the face of Nick Fury. Fine. But Nick Fury is an old white guy who smoked cigars and fought in World War II. And then he had a black son. Out of all, okay, you wanted to make the Nick Fury look like the movies. I get the logic. I don't like it, but I get the logic. Out of all infinite ways they could have done it, he has a son that nobody knew about who happened to be black, and then had an eye patch, just like, it's just too much. Even for a comic book, it strained the suspension of disbelief. It was just so stupid. It's just so stupid. And then he gets to run Shield because it's not a meritocracy or anything like that. You can't have the world's greatest intelligence organization run on a meritocracy, right? Salma Hayek is Lebanese Mexican. Oh, I didn't know that. Whatever she is, it works. Make more of them. True. Why do actors learn accents and dialogues, right? Look at Eddie Murphy. He's done white makeup a few times. Yeah, he played that Jewish guy in Coming to America. Nobody cared. He thought it was funny. I don't care. Orson Welles played a blackamoor, as they called him, right, in Othello. Did anybody care? Well, I think that modern audiences never watched a black and white version of Orson Welles' Othello, so they don't know. Otherwise, they would retroactively cancel him. But it's called acting. Acting. It's not real. It's not real. You want to get a black actress to play Death in the Sandman? Great. Slather her in alabaster makeup. Make her look like the freaking character, right? I understand if you're doing like a reimagining of Shakespeare in the Hood. That's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. You want to reimagine Shakespeare as lizard puppets. That's kind of cool. Do it. That whatever. But if you do, nobody liked John Wayne as Genghis Khan. It's the role everybody makes fun of. Don't bring it up as you racist. Even my father's like, that's the movie I don't like. I grew up with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He's my child. No disrespect. No disrespect. I was just too old for it. Stan got a kick out of it, but he was never going to do a farce at Captain Marvel. He just wanted the name. You're right, and I don't blame it. Smart business. So DC would have to call Billy Shazam, right? Yeah, it became complicated. It became as the kids say about their situationships. This is €100. I don't get it. Brick Frog. What is Brick Frog? That's cool looking. Is this €100 emotion? I don't get what you're saying. Is it a joke? I love trippy stories. Yeah, me too. I love them. Go if you're interested. I did a series called Two Beards, One Comic with Kelsey Shannon, and we went over the Warlock comics. He said he wanted to come back and start doing that again. I got to pressure him. Finish the Secret Wars. But yeah, we did the Starlin comics just like I'm doing this. So good. Idris Elba is the pilot episode of Space Precinct 1994. I've never heard of it. The script was so hot, it knocked my socks off. The fact that you withdraw someone seconds before the movie casting does not hold any say. I don't get it. The fact you withdraw someone seconds before the movie. They asked Sam Jackson if they could use his likeness, and he said yes. Yeah, that's what I heard. Apparently, Samuel L. Jackson is a great comic book fan. He's a big comic book fan. Once you go black, you never go back. Clint Eastwood should have been Nick Fury in his younger days. Yes, Nick. There's so many actors who could have been a comic book accurate Nick Fury. Yeah. I mean, if they got Clint Eastwood to play Nick Fury, he could have pulled it off. That would have been awesome. Oh my God, I never thought of that. Good casting. And my prime minister said, "You think I'm creating corruption? Well, I'm gonna change the law so it's legal." Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yep. Look what Gavin Newsom is doing. He's making it illegal to report fraud. How do Californians vote for that guy? Marvel didn't ask Samuel Jackson for fortunately saying, okay, is complimented by it. You ain't going back. Charlton Heston is Nick Fury in True Lies. Charlton Heston would have been another good choice. Charlton Heston, yeah. Found out about it later. Brick Frog from Venture Brothers. Oh, yeah. I love the Venture Brothers. That's right. I knew it looked familiar. Brick Frog. David Hasselhoff. That would have been funny. Get David Hasselhoff. All right. I finally caught up. Wow. A lot of comments. I can turn the page now. So let's continue. So we got Archon against the tree. Remember, Colossus just hit him against the tree. We got this wonderful shot of all the X-Men in costume. The X-Men are 6 to your 1, Archon. Lay down your weapons. There's no need to fight. We can talk. Archon answers to no one, least of all a woman. I am no man at all. I am an Empyrean. He says, the Army War Colossus is my most powerful opponent, thereby the most dangerous. I shall deal with him first. So he throws his red lightning bolt is coming too quickly to dodge. So he whips. I don't know. There's something about this Archon character. It's just so cool. He's this super strong, like Colossus level strength. He's got this Captain America invulnerable shield. And then he throws these lightning bolts at people. Just so freaking cool. I don't know. I just love it. He throws these red lightning bolts and it just hits him like an explosion to the chest. Your shield, your claws smashed. That's impossible. So much for Captain America's shield. Wolverine just smashes his shield. And he's pulling out a red bolt. Cyclops just blasted. Duck, Wolverine. Archon's pulling another lightning bolt. And just blasted. And then Nightcrawler uncharacteristically does something. He wraps him around his neck. Got him. And pulls him. You misinterpreted fool. You cannot. And he hits Cyclops with the lightning bolt. And then enough, Imperial. You aren't the only one who can hurl lightning bolts. Either surrender or I had a taste of your power. It is considerable. That makes you more valuable to me. And he throws a yellow lightning bolt at her. Boom. And then she's not there. Just as if a great yawning has hit suddenly opened and I can't even read this. It's just too small for my tiny little eyes. But and she looks and says, Ororo. My comments were referencing how changes race swaps before the movie should not be considered a real basis. Oh, okay. He did play Fury, actually, in a TV. Yeah, Nick Hasselhoff played Nick Fury in a TV movie. Indeed. Yeah, he did. You're right. Murderer! So they think Storm was just vaporized. So Nightcrawler just starts kicking him. And he throws light, he teleports, and boom, boom, and he's just punching Archon. Basically ineffectively. And Colossus, who is stunned, grabs him by the foot and just throws him in the pool. And then he's ripping out a tree. I've never seen Colossus so angry. I can only feel the same with me. Sonic powers gone. I can't do a blessed thing to help. So remember, Banshee's still recovered from losing his powers in X-Men 119. And through the run that I had just finished up, he had recovered. So he comes out of the pool, smashing Wolverine. Wolverine stunned. What? The sacred rings of fire. Colossus hits him with the tree. How freaking cool is that? What? That did the trick, Colossus. He's down. He can't hurt us anymore. Peter, let him be. Archon's bones must be nearly as strong as yours, Wolverine. Nothing's broken, and he's unconscious. Not for long. Do your worst, human. I've done my duty to my people and my world. I'm prepared to die. Why did you come here, Archon? Why did you attack the X-Men? What do you want with Storm? Save your questions, Earther. I will not answer, and you will not. You don't have the power to force me. Oh, you think you're going to change your mind before I leave you to Wolverine's tender mercies? No comments. I'll continue. I love this little exchange right here. Matt, you're bluffing. I would have faced your kind and your coward's code of ethics before. You will not harm us before and foe. Say that in 50 seconds, Bubs, if you're able. And Wolverine's got the claws going up his nose. Is this a bluff? He goes, "This is a bluff, isn't it, Cyclops?" And Cyclops says, "Of course." And then Banshee says, "Does Wolverine know that? Watch it, Wolverine. Don't hurt him yet." Oh, Nightcrawler. Let me see Archon's quiver of lightning bolts. Maybe. He goes, the news break showed Archon hurling a golden bolt at some atomic scientist. It disappeared. He threw red and black bolts at us, but only the golden bolt he threw at Storm, and she disappeared. According to the Avengers, those physicists had been teleported to Archon's world. Perhaps the same thing happened to Storm. Care to comment? No? I think Storm is alive. And we'll be going after her, and she hold the fort. If we haven't returned by morning, notify the Avengers of the Fantastic Four. I wish I was going with you. So do I, but cross your fingers because I don't know if this is going to work. Cyclops is working on a hunch. He grabs all the golden lightning bolts and just throws them on the ground. Part 3. Now look at this. They're all transported to this Dungeons and Dragons world over here. You know, just all the men are in loincloths. All the girls are in as little clothes as possible. I just love when everybody complains. Look at all these fantasy women that made for the male gaze. This guy's wearing freaking loincloth. You know, it's Conan the Barbarian. Remember, movie Conan the Barbarian. Oh no, that's still a little bit away. It's just fantasy. Look at this. Look at this intricate George Perez just going nuts. I would love to read the script. I would love to read the script for that page. You know, what did the script say? You know, it probably just said, "Go nuts, George." They arrive in some fantasy, you know, chamber. Go nuts. That's what I would say to Renzo, and I have said that to Renzo. You know, I said, "This is a double-page spread. These are the people. Go nuts." And it's funny because that was actually a panel, and I had a typo. It said, "Go butts." So Renzo messaged me. He goes, you want me to draw like everybody's like butts? Like, I said, no, I meant to say go nuts. Just draw whatever, you know, just fill that page with detail. Go nuts, fill it up. He's laughing. He's like, go butts. So anyway, look at that. I grew up on He-Man. This movie left no real lasting impression on me. It was kind of cringy for fans in their 40s, 50s getting excited for nostalgia art. Yeah. Like I said, I'm happy for you if you liked it. From what I heard, it was good, but I've never seen any He-Man movie. I've never watched the cartoon. You know, I was just too old for it. And like I said, the names He-Man is just such a lousy name. He-Man. I mean, if it was He-Man and he was like dragging women by their hair into a cave, that's cool. But he's like the most sensitive Earth fart ever, and he's called He-Man. I just never liked him. All that detail. I know. It's so good. Go butts. I'm glad you thought that was funny. It's the truth. It actually happened. Good morning, Omnipro. How you doing? In a future interview, Renzo's going to be asked why he went butts and nuts. Because he likes to draw girls' butts, you know, but this was like all men. So he's like, go butts. What's going on? Oh, no, we got an ad. I want more detail. I want more George Perez goodness. This set of MPC wheels gets you. So again, I can't stress how important model cars, model planes, model ships. Everybody was building models in the 70s. So hope whoever's in charge here speaks English. I'm Cyclops, leader of the X-Men. Archon, your Imperium is our prisoner. We'll exchange him for the life of the woman you kidnapped. A life for a life. Vizier, what do we do? You know, we got this Viking guy with the sword drawn. Vizier on the throne. What we must, warlord. The earthling female is our salvation. We cannot give her up. And you will not give her up, Greybeard. Here we obey. Warriors, attack. And I love this Wolverine. You lousy. Wolverine just hits him. Boom. You know, and all of these warriors just attack. Just impossible armor, you know. And across the vast throne chamber, battle cries erupt from the throats of men born and bred to the arts of war. Okay, crew, if this fight these guys want, let's fight they gonna get. So, boom. Wolverine's just slashing people. Now is Wolverine in full-on murder mode? I know Colossus is just punching people. Nightcrawler teleports away and does nothing. And Cyclops just starts blasting people with his eye beams. Just look at that. Axes and armor. And this is great because it's a fantasy world in another dimension. You don't have to reference any cultures. You just have to make it look cool. So this is reminiscent of Kirby's Asgard, And the Vizier is sneaking away. I will sneak away, Complete your spells as quickly as possible. I'll do my best, old friend. Do what you must, Vizier, for as long as you succeed. Otherwise, should you fail, our world will be a charnel pit ere the year is out. Our proud race no longer a memory. Sword in hand, they're fighting. So what's going on? And while the Vizier pushes down the ancient secret corridor that will take him out of Archon's palace, wherever he's going, he's being followed. So we see this sneaky old man's going off. Nightcrawler's following him. Dun, dun, dun. These model kits were great. Yeah. Did you do models? Let me know in the chat if you guys did models. John, you're describing Conan and He-Man were created for children in the 1980s. Yep. Well, the Conan movie was not made for kids. There was a lot of boobies and blood. That movie's awesome. That movie was I always heard the name Conan, but that movie was my first experience with Conan. So that kind of shit. So I thought Conan was a big dumb brute, whatever. I was kind of, okay, he's intelligent, So I know Conan now, but back then I loved that Conan movie. I know it's not accurate to the novels, but man, it is a great movie for what it is. And then I know the He-Man toys were repurposed Conan toys. But I don't like them, Yeah, they were made for kids. Now, I've always said, like, Star Wars was made for kids. Lord of the Rings, or at least The Hobbit, was made for kings. Narnia was made for kids. Harry Potter was made for kids. But they didn't pander to kids. They treated kids like precocious, intelligent human beings that could figure stuff out. He-Man was made for kids, but it pandered to kids. They dumbed it down. They treated kids like idiots, imbeciles, Fistor, and then they just called it He-Man, but they didn't think about what the name means. I don't know. And I'm sorry if I'm hurting your feelings. That's just the way I feel. Amazing layouts here. I know. It's so good. A middle 2-panel spread. I know. We got these panels. Unfortunately, we got this crease over here. But yeah, so good. So good. Wow, that is a hyper detailed pair. Yeah, welcome to George Perez. Welcome to George Perez. And this is an annual, so you're paying more. So, Jim Shooter was like, and also, George Perez he used to say, give me more characters, give me more stuff. Look at this. This panel and this panel are the only 2 panels without details, but like he still fills it in with action and everything like that. So good. I've never seen another inker make Perez's detail look so clear. Austin really is the greatest inker in the 70s. Yeah, I got to agree. I agree. I shot models with my pellet gun. Hopefully plastic models and not female runway models. I did models, mostly the Aurora Heroes and the Trek models and the monster ones from Aurora. Yeah, my brothers did the Aurora models. Yep. Who is the artist writer? This is Chris Claremont writing. Artist is George Perez, inked by Terry Austin. I like how everything was made for kids back in the day, like RoboCop and Batman Returns, The Gremlins, Fight Club. Fight Club for kids. But you're all right. There was a RoboCop cartoon. There was a Rambo cartoon. R-rated adult movies had kid versions. Chris Claremont. At least we were fans of it. Yeah. Oh no. Oh man. So Colossus is just grabbing people and crushing them. Wolverine is pointing. And Cyclops is just blasting. Heads up, I think I found the exit. I better buy us some room. That big pillar seems to be the only supporting section for the roof. I can smash it. Bingo. So Colossus is fighting smarter, not harder. Knocks down the column, which causes a cave-in. Move it, you two. I barely pulled that stunt off. I've been blasted using my optic blasts. It won't be long before they're weak. I won't be able to hurt a fly. This is the first time I've noticed that Cyclops is referencing running out of optic blasts. According to the Marvel Universe, he channels energy from another dimension. He just opens his eyes and they come out. Now we're saying he's running out of power. Keep in mind, this is before the Marvel Universe. I picked up a faint scent, boss. Storm came this way. Good, Wolverine. Between you and Nightcrawler, we should be able to find her. So I love this. This guy's running at them. Cyclops just blasts them. I just picture a guy. The damage is extensive. The casualties are remarkably light. The X-Men. Hey, Warlord. The X-Men, all of them, save Wolverine, do not believe in killing. Cyclops placed his shot well. Curse him. This way is completely blocked. We'll have to use the secret passage, my lord. That will take too long. Do not worry, Imperium. They will not get far. And then we got this ROM ad. This is a paradox. Because the toy was crappy, and I know somewhere Brian Bow just went, huh? Somebody's making fun of ROM. He loved this toy. I just didn't like it because it wasn't articulated. And it was too big. It was too big. I always like Star Wars size was the best for me. And then they made a great comic book based on a crappy toy. This comic was so good. It was weird. It was a great comic. I when I say recently reread it, in the last 10 years, and it held up really well. Good. It was a good run of comics. I still recommend it. Good job. ROM is a paradox. There's ROM. Where are the Micronauts? Micronauts was another one. But Micronauts, it was a Japanese product, came to America, and they never pandered to kids. They made cool toys. And then we added all the backstory. And that hurt me for you. He-Man was not appealing to every child, as I found out. I was actually hoping He-Man could be reimagined as more of a serious character. Okay, good. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I as my wife says, sometimes I hurt people's feelings without realizing it. That's not my point. ROM was awesome. I enjoyed He-Man, even though I myself was too old for it. I never had the Mattel toy, but I watched the Filmation series. I enjoyed the hell out of He-Man, especially the soundtrack. This recent movie you're talking about, I love ROM. People thought I was crazy for collecting it. That was a great comic. I got every issue. What is ROM exactly? Well, it was a toy, and it stood for something. It stood for something. Robot, something, whatever. And it turned out in the comic they never referenced that it stood for something. He was a warrior. ROM gave up his humanity to become this robot warrior, and he fought the Dire Wraiths. The Dire Wraiths were a big threat. The X-Men fought them. Fantastic Four fought them. The Avengers fought them, and they were this race of deviants and they came to Earth, and they could shapeshift like the Skrulls, but they would stick their tongues out and suck out your essence and become you. And ROM would come to Earth to exterminate them. So when he killed them, people thought he was killing humans. It would have been a great 50s movie. So good. Is he a space knight? Yes, he's a space knight. That's all part of. Well, it says ROM the Space Knight right there. But I think that's part of Marvel Comics, because Marvel still says the Space Knight instead of ROM. Robot only all the way from Mars. Rom-com stands for romantic comedy. Our problem with nostalgia for He-Man is it caters to adults with children when it was popular. Where are the He-Man video games for the current audience? You're absolutely right. All of this stuff, Marvel movies to He-Man, it's targeting 50-year-old men. There's nothing made for kids that I know of anymore that's not crap. It is kind of sad. You go to see a comic book movie and it's just graybeards like me complaining that Mixoplex isn't portrayed correctly, and little kids who don't care if there's kids even in the theater. It really is. And now we got this gorgeous shot over here. Look at that. They're bringing out a tank. I've heard of out of the frying pan, but this is ridiculous. The more the merrier, boss. In the name of our period, for all of the generations of yet unborn, destroy them. So now we got the vizier riding this fantasy beast over here to God knows where. Because I hoped it would not come to this, but we would have gained what we needed without escorting to violence. But alas, our ways are not the ways of peace. So Vizier has reached that age of wisdom. He understands we could have just asked for help. We could have just asked for help and avoided all this. He goes, but we're not that kind of people. So this, well I'll get to that. I'm jumping ahead, and he's lamenting. We could have just asked. We could have gotten help, but now people are dying and fighting. But we are warriors. We're not beggars. Blah blah. And he's saying here, we are tossed into darkness. Our world is encased in darkness. Are you? Even though I know I'm not much good in that kind of fight. Oh yeah. So I jumped ahead. So Nightcrawler's contemplating because I'm not that good in a fight like this, but my best bet is to gather information and see what's going on. So the Grand Vizier is going to this citadel, like out of the palace proper, far away, riding this monster beast. And Nightcrawler's figuring out what's going on, and he's saying our world is plunged into eternal darkness. We need help, and we could have asked for help. So further, what's going on? So they're showing up at this palace. Sasha is all right. Now we got sexy chicks. She's remarkably well dressed, considering all the men were just wearing a loincloth. Has she given you any trouble? None. She accepts her fate with the courage of an Empyrean. My teacher, must she die? I fear so. So Nightcrawler's like, what's going on? Not if Nightcrawler can help it. Nobody's killing Storm. Getting Aurora out of here is our only. Can that be Storm? What have they done to her? So Storm's in this sexy barbarian fantasy outfit. Child is a time. As you wish, Vizier. Do not be afraid. I will do what must be done. Although it may cost your life, it's my life to give. So here's Storm. Sexy fantasy chick. Look at that. That is awesome. That is awesome. Wow, a lot of comments. The Japanese also have a space knight called Tekkaman. Yeah, I love Japan. I absolutely love Japan. I was telling my wife the other day I want to learn Japanese. I'd like to visit Japan. Does that make me a weeb? Because I don't know anime. I don't know manga. I don't know the toys. I just like the people's attitude. I love the history of the country. I mean, my father would be horrified. He went to his grave hating the Japanese after Pearl Harbor. But I don't know. I kind of like Japan. I like their politics. But I don't know anime, so I'm like a non-weeb weeb. Licensed comics like Micronauts weren't generally available in the UK then. That's sad. That's sad, because Micronauts was another one that was surprisingly good. This artwork is so dense and detailed. I know, George Perez. You see why I love George Perez. What John Byrne makes up for it. John Byrne, I think, is superior in his designs, in his human forms, his action shots. George Perez is better in his detail. But far be it for me to criticize either one of them. Try finding ROM comics in the online marketplace. You get 200 listings for CD-ROMs. Oh, I didn't even think. You got to type in ROM Space Knight. Or ROM Marvel. They demanded help, and the X-Men came and wrecked them. They didn't demand help. They didn't demand. If they came in, that's what this Vizier is lamenting over here. If only we had asked for help, we could have avoided all of this. But alas, asking for help is not. We're too proud. We're too violent. He's starting to realize his culture has made mistakes. That's the kind of thing only a young man, an old man who can't fight anymore would see. Vikings don't ask for help. Barbarians don't ask for help. So, how can we ever thank you? If you and your people live, Vizier, that'll be thanks to them. Am I hearing things? Storm's helping her captors. She's not resisting at all. But why? No time to get back. No time to get to the others. Whatever these people have been planning, it sounds like they're about to start. And I've got to find another way to tell the X-Men where Storm is. So he teleports, grabs her cape. Her cape should do things beautiful. The luck, the element of surprise, or auras for fear of confinement should produce a particularly spectacular reaction. So boom, summon the warriors. So Nightcrawler grabs her cape, wraps Storm's face to try to induce claustrophobia. Whoever you are, away! And she, Nightcrawler. So boom. So now outside, a lightning bolt, guys. I think we just found where Storm is holding these, where they're holding Storm. We got to get there now. Consider it done, comrade. Way to go, Colossus. I love this. He's fighting lightning bolt, and then Colossus shows up riding a freaking dragon. Could this comic get any better? Colossus, you're a Marvel. Where'd you find this dinosaur dragon? A group of flying cavalry attacked me. I merely borrowed it from the commander. So Colossus is riding a dragon. Hey, wait for me. So they're all scooped up with the dragon. That pretty much finishes my optic blast. Never felt so completely drained. How did this ever come up? I never recall Cyclops ever saying he ran out of, there's no sun in the sky, no solar energy to replenish my eye beams. What? Does this directly contradict the Marvel Universe? Cyclops' his eye beams are replenished by solar energy, and then the Universe says it comes from another dimension. So where is it? And if you're replenished by solar energy, shouldn't you be wearing a costume that shows off more skin? You know what I mean? The only thing that shows is his jaw. So, Psyche, you okay? That last app looked pretty holy. You guys look at that fortress. Am I freaking out? Or is that Storm? So they see Storm. Go back, my friends. You may have harmed this tempest. It's almost out of control. Cyclops, she looks very dangerous. What should we do? Land. Oh, we got a lot of comments. You're a regular Joe who enjoys Japanese pop culture merchandise. Okay. All right. Archon demanded help in the mansion. He didn't say help. He just said, you're going to help me and kidnap Storm, And remember, in his thoughts, he says, I've come to Earth as a beggar. But then his words and actions, he was too proud to actually ask for help. Perez was a master of facial expression, posing to he was a theater nerd after all. Yeah, that's what he did for the last 10 years of his life. He's acted in his local theater. I want a shirt with Colossus on a dragon. There you go. Colossus riding a dragon is heavy metal. I know. Could you just hear the music from the movie Heavy Metal just blasting? Where's all the persecution? Where's all the X-Men or, identity politics? Ain't happening here. Storm, we've come to take you home. Cyclops, no, I pledged my word to help these people. I will not leave. Better talk fast. Here comes the welcome wagon. Why, Aurora? So Cyclops, we just fought all the way here to help you, and you don't want, you got some explaining to do. You got some splaining to do. I cannot explain. There's no time. Please trust me, Cyclops, but not without you, babe. No. If you take our X-Men, know that you condemn my world, my people to death. I've got to sound casual, bluff Archon into believing we're still at peak strength. That we can handle anything he throws against us. Oh, if you want to help Imperium, give us a reason. Very well. Now, Archon is explaining. This world is not yours, X-Men. Our light comes from a single source, a celestial source such as the sun, but from a high-energy ring orbiting the planet. We have ever lived in the light of eternal day. So their planet's in another dimension, and there's a ring around the planet of pure light. But then ancient prophecies had foretold the ring began to disintegrate. Within a year, there were no more. And then the first time since creation, my warrior race lived in darkness. We faced racial extinction. And my vizier discovered a way to save us, a way that required the destruction of your world. The Avengers made that act unnecessary when Iron Man created a device that charged with lightning summoned by Thor, god of thunder, and restored our life-giving energy rings. So this happened in Avengers 75 and 76. So Iron Man used magic science, Thor hit lightning in it, and it repowered the magic rings that gave us light. For a time, all was good until weeks ago. Without warning, we were again plunged into darkness. Iron Man's machine had failed. Although my vizier managed to repair it. We could not recharge the device. It seemed to require the power of a god. Worse, the vizier explained that if the firings were not re-energized within a specific time, a time that is almost up, they will decay beyond the point of no return. Originally, he thought out Thor, but he proved unavailable, so he chose Storm. Perhaps I should have asked for your aid, but that is not an Imperion's way, and I could not risk being refused. Our need for Storm was imperative. Cyclops, I found Nightcrawler. He's all right. So he got blasted by lightning. Archon is being desperately not kind, but like rational. Oh, I turned the page with that chick. Hey, we got Tony Gringo. The lady from Wicked says she wants to play Storm in a live action film. No, she should play Mephisto. I don't know. That's Storm. Storm is beautiful. That woman is anything but. Where does the Storm learn to be a leader? How long was she there? Was time different in that world? Nope, she still didn't learn to be a leader. She didn't learn to be a leader. By the time she was made leader, she's still a secondary character. This is literally the first time Storm was showcased in the X-Men. Perez was fond of Jordan T. Titan's favorite, Jericho, because of his animated facial expression. I hate Jericho. Jericho is the jumping the shark. If that term hasn't jumped the shark, Jericho is the beginning of the end of the Teen Titans. I hate that character. I don't think Cyclops being switched has ever been brought up again. The only error in this Marvel comic. I know. It's plot, and it didn't need to be. Here's the device, Imperion. Wolverine, Kurt, take a look at it. See if you can get that gadget so it'll absorb optic blasts instead of lightning. It's like, I'm a tinkerer. Sophisticated electronics work is out of my league. When was Wolverine even a tinkerer? This is the second uncharacteristic thing. Get Wolverine to fix the device? Wolverine? When has Wolverine fixed anything? I know, but there's no one else who could do it. Beautiful. If this sucker blows up in your face, Summers, don't say I didn't warn you. Alone, Cyclops, I don't think you could succeed. This could kill you. Together, you and I might pull it off. So this is where the story breaks down. Umbalach, whoever built this thing was a genius. Oh yeah? If you saw how come it broke? So, Colossus, could you act as a ground so that none of Storm's power is wasted? Don't they know how electricity works? Don't they know how... It's so stupid. The electrician's getting... Man. So Storm's going to pull down the lightning. And Colossus, who's made of metal, touching the ground, is acting as a ground. So none of her energy is wasted. That's not how electricity works. She is touching a metal conductive guy who's touching the ground. So all the electricity, it'll just go through him to the ground and be wasted. That's what the ground does. The ground absorbs excess energy. That's why you have a ground. That's why your house doesn't burn down. If you didn't have a ground, all that electricity would be in the area and then overheat and burn down your house. But you have a ground, so it's a route to get rid of the extra energy. This is the absolute opposite of what they want. But the comic book people are not electrical people. So go for broke. Call down as much as you can stand and hold it within you as long as possible. So she's pulling down electricity. God, they're both glowing like human stars, and the heat's melting the platform beneath them. I've waited as long as you can. Now she shoots Cyclops with all of this electricity, and Cyclops doesn't die because the plot requires this. So what they're saying is his body has no energy, so it's just absorbing the nearest energy, which is her lightning. And that's the only reason why Cyclops left. I call BS. This is complete BS. And then Cyclops is absorbing. He stands in agony. Never have beheld such courage. Bless, my fingers won't fit through the access panels. Quit griping. Just tell me what to do. Improved Banshee wasn't wasting his time teaching me electronics. So he's fixing it. Hurry, Nightcrawler, hurry! I can't hold out. Because cover your eyes. And now he fires a white optic blast because the energy is this is just nonsense. Solar eye charge is Superman. I know. Storm is quick to acclimate. Yep. It's just a cool way to draw her in a fancy costume. I got no problem with that. Beast is the fixer. Logan just essed it up. Yep. I remember Nightcrawler being an X-Men leader for like 2 seconds at one point. Yep. I'm glad I could never be disappointed by a comic book getting drywall wrong. So then he fires his optic blast charged by electrical energy into this device, which then shoots it into the sky and reignites the light. Yay! Why did Cyclops need to do that? Why couldn't Storm just shoot the electrical plot? This is the only time the story breaks down. Even as a kid, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. What was the purpose of that? The Warlord, the Rings of Fire, praise to the gods, we have light. Your world will live. We've searched the palace, the cities. There's no sign of the Outworlders. They must be, because everything blew up. And here they are, just scattered all over. The mountain is no more. The whole mountain blew up. Archon, my Imperior, would I have died in your place? A generous offer, old friend, but also thankfully not necessary. Archon, you live. So my archers tell me. Warlord, the Outworlders are alive too. And the Vizier, it's a miracle. Everybody's alive. Everybody's alive. And here they are. They're all in barbarian clothing because their costumes got wrecked. Everybody's celebrating. Wolverine's, got a loincloth on. Cyclops has got this basically Colossus stuff on. We thank the X-Men. We're friends. I've learned the lessons. I'm not going to be a jerk anymore. Because I understand you wish to reconsider the state. With warriors such as you by my side, we could conquer a universe. Sorry, Archon, but conquest isn't in the X-Men's line of work. Oh, I don't know, Scott. Would you like to be the first barbarian to wear horn-rimmed glasses? So, all right, I'll talk about that in a minute. So, as you wish, X-Men. So he teleports them back down to Earth. And then we got this wonderful. This is the first page of ROM. This, if you see my Eddie is Doomed promo, that's what I'm riffing on this. So this is supposed to be like a reminiscent of this first page of ROM. Their plan was a bit overcooked and junky. Absolutely made no sense. Absolutely is the only. Well, not the only. It hinged on too many things. That Cyclops, all of a sudden, his optic blasts are solar based, and that he could absorb energy when he's trained. That's a great power. Why doesn't he use that power more often? Purposely drain himself so he can absorb Magneto's power, and then take out Magneto. Because it doesn't happen. All of a sudden, Wolverine's an expert electronics. And then Storm is going to die, but if she shoots Cyclops and then Cyclops shoots it, Cyclops doesn't die. It's overcomplicated and janky. Honestly, though this was the last great era of comics, the last exciting era was the start of the Image line, but that wasn't a great era. Yeah, I agree. That was exciting, but the comics didn't last. And there we go. There we go. There's the back cover. And there we go. Great comic. Flaws and all. Great comic. So much fun. I freaking love this comic. Flaws and all. Warts and all. So good. What do you guys think? Rom-com. A Night in Space. A Night to Remember. Rom-com. A Night to Remember. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? I'm going to give you 1 second. I'm just going to grab a soda. It's right here. Just you could hear the scratchiness in my voice from talking. All right. As the comic's done, I will continue talking as long as the comments keep going. Great comic. I agree. Great comic. Now it's Frank Miller. Frank Miller did this cover. I don't know. I don't know who inked it. Maybe Frank Miller, Terry Austin. I don't know. It's still one great end. Yeah, it's one of my favorite comics. So good. So freaking good. No identity politics. No whining and moaning and all that stuff. Oh wow. No, I haven't read the new John Byrne stuff. It's right here. It's right here. I haven't read it yet. I gotta break it out. Maybe I'll break it out right now. I like how the sword in the cover points to the caption, all new. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember this comic from years ago. Archon was a cool character. He showed up a few times. I think it's a decent comics issue. I think it's more than decent. I think it's amazing. I think it's so good. Uh, Gotta bring this up. We got the Heroic Tales Christmas special live on Kickstarter. 8 backers. Uh, you know, more the merrier, please. We need support. Get the comic. It's like I said, it's being formatted right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Bill sends me the finished files tonight. And oh, my neck just popped. That felt great. So back it on Fund My Comic. Back it on Kickstarter. Oh wow, I just got a backer. Thank you. Was that somebody in the chat, or was that just a coincidence? Wow, that's cool to see that number go up right live, right in front of your face. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We need all the help we can get. I want to keep making comics. I enjoy making comics. It's a lot of fun. But it's all up to you. It's all up to you. I tried to sub to the X-Men recently. Hickman is a fine writer, but it's not exciting like this stuff. Your boy Zach used to say that Hickman was autistic. And as much as your boy Zach drives me crazy, I think he might be right. I think he's got great ideas. The problem is the human. If he's autistic, it explains it. He doesn't human well, and he doesn't get he gets the logical storytelling, he gets the fantastic story, he gets the grand ideas, but I don't think he gets the human interactions and pacing right. That's my problem with Hickman. Right? Is that it? Not Hickman. I think I'm getting the name wrong. Hotel, there you go. Click on that. Thank you. Other George Perez, I always like Marshall Rogers. Yeah, Marshall Rogers is awesome on anything. I love Mark. How has work been? Work has been great. Last week I worked the middle shift from 3 to 11. So it's kind of isolated at work, doing standby. We have a bunch of generators providing power. And I'm there if anything goes wrong with the generators, because there's a couple of guys doing stuff that can only be done at night because it's dangerous, and they need the generators. So if the generators break down, it has to be an electrician there. So nothing happened. So I went to work, and I worked on comic book scripts. So it was awesome. I'm back to normal schedule. I think the overtime is over. I have a feeling on Friday I'm going to get transferred to another job because the stadium is opening up. They take like a week or two to clean it before customers come in, and so I have a feeling this is going to be my last week on this job, which always makes me nervous. Just because new things make me nervous. Hickman's X-Men are very cerebral but low in the action. 70 comics were high in the action, which I love. Yep, absolutely. When's the deadline for those letters? Time permitting, I write some fiction, maybe some fantasy. If you want to write a letter, sooner rather than later. Like the comic is being formatted. I just didn't send him the letters page because I was just holding out. But like right away. If you want to write a letter, please, I encourage you, write a letter. It'll just be fun. Write it to heroicmails@yahoo.com or johnslongbox@yahoo.com, and we'll get it in the comic. If you got fan art, send me the fan art. If John, not sure if you did the old Kirby Jimmy Olsen. What you do? I'm here. What was the comic that made me fit? Yeah, I have a few issues of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. You got to be my age then. I haven't read them yet. I've been getting them and stacking them up because I'm trying to get the Fourth World stories. So I'm missing if they're not if I get 5 of them in order, I'll read them. But I think I got them out of order, and I'll check them out. There you go. It's the same question. There you go. Two birds, one stone. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was super phenomenal. Super phenomenal. I really loved his the Joker fish story. Perhaps the last time I actually enjoyed the Joker. That's how I remember all the X Men comics. Real brilliant. Yep. Power up those generators with my. Oh, there you go. There you go. And I should ground myself so that I don't lose any power. Do you know what a short circuit is? A short circuit is when you're grounded. It, it, it's a it's great. So there's a shorter path to ground than it is to the device. So energy wants to go to ground. Energy just wants to go to ground. Electricity. So if you're grounded, you've got to you know what I mean. So a short circuit is that it's easier to get to ground than it is to get to where you want it to go, and the energy goes through there. Boom. I, it's just so stupid. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you. I am. I'm a '70s kid. Okay. Yeah, we're the same age. Janice, climber time to be. Yes, it'll be next week. Back to normal. This week I was just working extra, so I just couldn't do it. But next week, uh, what is the topic? I forget what we are going to do. Was it African characters? Right? We were going to do Africa next week. Yeah, so it'll be on next week. I'm an '80s and '90s kid. Yeah, yeah. I'm a you know 75 to '85 was like my youth. I don't really remember more before '74, but I do remember the bicentennial. I know what a short is. All phone equipment on your house is gone by low. Yep. See, you do super low voltage. You know. Yeah. So you know. So there you go. So again, let me just state that if you want heroic tales fast, or relatively fast, back it on Fund My Comic. I don't care where you back it on. That's your preference. I like Luke, so Fund My Comic is fine. If you don't mind waiting and you want to get extra stuff because you can get like card packs from issue 1, pint glasses, coins, and all that stuff. You can back on Kickstarter. You know, either one is fine with me. Some people, political reasons, they don't like Kickstarter. Some people, political reasons, they don't like Fund My Comic. Whatever. I'm past all that stuff. I just want to sell some comic books. I want people chewing bubble gum. I'm selling bubble gum. So it's all that stuff is just silly. But you know, I'm not going to go to Indiegogo. It was too complicated, and I didn't get enough payout for the complications and the hassles. So, but what I'm going to do when both campaigns are done, when everybody gets their comic, I'm going to open up a big cartel store directly from me. I think that's like $15 a month, so I hope it pays itself. Because what I like about Fund My Comic is it doesn't take any money if I don't sell anything. So I was born in the '60s, but I was born in '68. You have an awesome Sunday. It's good seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while. According to Renzo's reading, it's heroic tales. Yeah, I know. That's funny. Go Butts. All right. Wow, we got a lot of people watching in the final moments. Brittany, how's Fox Prowl Comics? How's everything? Let's see. At this point, I usually give a reading of what's going on my channel this week. So let me get my calendar app where I do. All right, so Tuesday, I have John Douglas of Orc City fame. Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. We're going to do a comic book team up with RJ. Friday, it's Clobbered time, right? It's African characters. Saturday, it's Avengers Assemble. And then Sunday, comics, it's the last X-Men. I can't believe it's done. We're going to do this annual. And then, and it's funny because we were talking about religions and superheroes. That's all about religions and superheroes. And then the following Sunday, we're going to go to Fantastic Four. So, all right. Oh, awesome stream. Thank you, Kojo. So you know what? I think the time has come for me to say goodbye, kids.